The clock on the wall seemed to mock Evan, its hands barely creeping forward. Finally, with a soft chime, it struck 5. He gathered his things, eager to escape the stale office air. Today had been a long one, filled with numbers that blurred into one another and endless meetings. He pictured his comfy couch, a warm cup of tea, and a good book. That thought spurred him on, and he practically skipped towards the exit. But as he pushed open the heavy glass door, the world outside was not the calm, sunny evening he'd imagined. Instead, a wall of gray greeted him, and the air crackled with a sudden chill. Just as he stepped onto the pavement, the sky decided to open up. Fat drops of rain, like tiny stones, pelted the ground, instantly soaking the concrete. Within seconds, the drizzle turned into a full-blown downpour. Evan gasped, pulling his thin jacket tighter around him. He hadn't checked the weather forecast, a mistake he now deeply regretted. He had no umbrella, no hood, nothing to shield himself from the sudden onslaught. His hair, carefully combed that morning, was already plastered to his forehead. His work bag, not waterproof in the slightest, felt like it was absorbing every drop. "Oh, great," he muttered, hunching his shoulders. He looked around wildly. Taxis zipped past, already occupied. The bus stop was a block away, but getting there meant wading through a miniature river forming on the sidewalk. There was no shelter nearby, just the relentless drumming of rain on everything around him. He knew he couldn't just stand there. Taking a deep breath, he decided to make a run for it. Head down, he plunged into the stormy street, each step splashing water onto his trousers. The cold seeped into his clothes, making him shiver. His vision blurred from the rain hitting his glasses, and he squinted, trying to see where he was going. He felt silly, like a cartoon character caught in a sudden storm, but there was nothing else to do. He just had to get home. The thought of his warm, dry apartment was the only thing keeping him moving through the watery chaos. He pushed on, a lone figure battling the unexpected fury of the weather. Evan pushed through the sheets of rain, his jacket already heavy with water, his shoes squelching with every step. He could feel the chill reaching his skin, and his teeth began to chatter softly. He was so focused on getting home, head down, eyes squinting against the watery assault, that he almost didn't notice the bright splash of color ahead. Then a voice, warm and clear, cut through the drumming of the rain. "Excuse me. Do you want to share?" Evan stopped, lifting his head. Through his rain-streaked glasses, he saw a person standing a few feet away, sheltered perfectly under a truly enormous, bright yellow umbrella. The color was so cheerful, so out of place in the gray storm, it almost made him smile despite his misery. The person holding it was a man, taller than Evan, with kind eyes and a small, friendly smile playing on his lips. He was looking at Evan with an expression of gentle concern. "Oh," Evan managed, his voice a little hoarse from the cold. He felt a blush creep up his neck, embarrassed by his soaked appearance. He must look like a drowned rat. The man chuckled softly, a pleasant sound. "You look like you could use some cover," he said, his smile widening a bit. He held out the umbrella, tilting it slightly as an invitation. "It's big enough for 2, I think." "Oh." Evan hesitated for just a moment. He rarely accepted help, preferring to handle things himself. But the thought of another minute in the relentless downpour was enough to make him swallow his pride. Besides, the man seemed genuinely nice, not at all pushy. "Thank you," Evan said, his gratitude evident in his voice. He hurried over, practically diving under the bright yellow dome. The sudden dryness was a wonderful shock. He took a deep, thankful breath, feeling an instant warmth spread through him, even though his clothes were still soaking. "No problem," the man replied, adjusting his grip on the umbrella pole. "I'm Leo, by the way." He offered a hand, which Evan shook briefly. His hand was warm and firm. "Evan," he replied, feeling a little less like a drowned rat now that he wasn't actively being rained on. He looked up at Leo, whose eyes twinkled. The umbrella was indeed big, but sharing it meant they were standing quite close, their shoulders almost touching. A strange, comfortable warmth began to bloom in Evan's chest, chasing away some of the cold. Under the bright yellow umbrella, the world suddenly felt quieter, the drumming rain a distant whisper instead of a harsh assault. Evan stood close to Leo, their shoulders brushing with a gentle, unfamiliar contact. The warmth from Leo, combined with the sudden dryness, was a welcome comfort after his dash through the downpour. He could still feel the cold dampness of his clothes, but the immediate chill had lessened. "Where are you headed?" Leo asked, his voice friendly and calm above the rain. He adjusted his grip on the umbrella pole, taking a step forward, inviting Evan to walk with him. "Just trying to get home," Evan replied, falling into step beside him. He pointed vaguely down the street. "My apartment is a few blocks that way." "Good thing I caught you then," Leo said, a light-hearted tone in his voice. "You were really making a go of it, weren't you?" Evan laughed, a short, slightly embarrassed sound. "Yeah, I didn't have much choice, didn't check the weather this morning." "Always the way it goes, isn't it?" Leo chuckled. "The days you forget your umbrella are the days the sky decides to open up." They walked in a comfortable silence for a moment, the rhythm of their steps matching. The shared space under the umbrella felt both intimate and a little awkward. Evan was aware of Leo's presence beside him, the faint scent of something fresh, like soap and rain, and the subtle warmth radiating from him. Their arms brushed now and then as they walked, a light, fleeting touch that sent a tiny shiver down Evan's spine, not from cold this time. He glanced up at Leo. The man was focused on navigating the puddles and the busy sidewalk, his brow furrowed in concentration, but a soft smile still lingered on his face. The yellow umbrella cast a warm, golden glow around them, making their small world feel cozy and safe amidst the gray, wet city. It was strange, Evan thought, how a simple act of kindness could change a miserable moment into something almost pleasant. He felt a lightness he hadn't expected, a sense of relief that went beyond just being dry. He was safe from the rain, and for the first time since leaving the office, he wasn't alone. As they continued their journey under the cheerful yellow umbrella, the initial awkwardness began to melt away, replaced by a growing sense of ease. They talked about simple things. The crazy weather, the best local coffee shops, and even how annoying it was when your phone battery died at the worst possible moment. Leah had a way of speaking that made Evan feel comfortable, his voice a steady, calm presence against the wild backdrop of the storm. "So what do you do, Evan?" Leo asked, glancing at him with a friendly curiosity. "I'm an accountant," Evan replied, a small sigh escaping him. "Lots of numbers, lots of paperwork." Leo grinned. "Sounds like fun." "I work at the bookstore down on Elm Street. You know, the one with the big window display." Evan's eyes lit up. "Oh, I love that place. I'm in there all the time. I probably should have recognized you." He felt a little silly for not putting it together. He often saw Leo behind the counter, always with a kind word or a helpful suggestion for a new book. "Well, I usually don't look quite so dramatic," Leo joked, nodding towards the pouring rain. "And you're usually not quite so soaked." They both laughed, the sound mingling with the rain. Just then, a sudden, strong gust of wind swept through the street, catching the large umbrella. It tugged hard, threatening to pull it right out of Leo's hand. "Whoa!" Leo exclaimed, bracing himself. The force of the wind pushed them even closer together, their sides pressing firmly against each other. Evan instinctively reached out, his hand briefly touching Leo's arm to steady himself. The fabric of Leo's jacket was warm and dry beneath his fingers. Leo wrestled with the umbrella, his muscles tensing. "This thing's a fighter," he grunted, a playful glint in his eyes. Evan giggled, a genuine, bubbling sound. "It's trying to escape." With a final tug, Leo managed to regain full control, pulling the umbrella back into a steady position. They were left standing much closer than before, their bodies still pressed together. Neither of them moved away immediately. The brief struggle had broken down another layer of distance between them, replacing it with a shared moment of playful struggle and laughter. The scent of rain on concrete mixed with Leo's fresh smell, and Evan found himself enjoying the closeness, the unexpected warmth of this shared space. The playful struggle with the umbrella left them in a comfortable quiet, their bodies still pressed together. They resumed walking, a little slower this time, as if savoring the shared shelter. The city around them was a blur of gray and motion, but under their yellow canopy, a small, bright world existed. Evan felt a pleasant warmth spreading through him, a feeling that had nothing to do with the temperature and everything to do with Leo's close presence. Just as they rounded a corner, the sky seemed to dim even further, and the rain, which had been steady, suddenly intensified. It poured down with renewed fury, a solid curtain of water that crashed onto the umbrella with a loud roar. The edges of the umbrella, once offering plenty of protection, now felt too small. Splashes of cold water began to hit their outer shoulders and the sides of their legs. "Wow, it really picked up," Evan exclaimed, pulling his already damp jacket tighter. He instinctively leaned further into Leo, seeking more cover. Leo, with a soft grunt, adjusted his grip and angled the umbrella down more. "This is a proper downpour now," he said, his voice closer to Evan's ear than before. He shifted his weight, pulling the umbrella even tighter over their heads, effectively shrinking their dry space. This movement brought their bodies into even closer contact. Evan could feel the solid line of Leo's arm against his, the warmth of his side radiating through their clothes. Now they weren't just brushing shoulders. They were practically glued together. Their arms bumped with every step, their hips occasionally touched, and Evan could feel the gentle rhythm of Leo's breathing next to him. It was an intimacy born of necessity, but it wasn't unpleasant. In fact, Evan found himself oddly enjoying it. The closeness was a shield against the wild weather, a shared pocket of warmth and dryness in the middle of a cold, wet world. He risked a glance up at Leo. Leo was looking straight ahead, his brow slightly furrowed as he concentrated on holding the umbrella steady against the driving rain. A few drops of water clung to his eyelashes, sparkling like tiny jewels. Despite the serious weather, a faint, contented smile played on his lips. Evan felt a similar smile tugging at his own mouth. This unexpected journey with a stranger was turning out to be quite an adventure. The fierce rain continued its drumming, and Evan and Leo moved as one, a cozy, shared warmth between them. Evan felt strangely comfortable, even happy, despite his damp clothes and the wild weather. He found himself stealing glances at Leo, who seemed perfectly at ease, his steady presence a calm anchor in the storm. Suddenly, a playful, swirling gust of wind, stronger than any before, ripped through the street. It hit the umbrella with a mighty force, not just pulling at it this time, but trying to flip it inside out. The bright yellow fabric strained, bending and shaking violently. "Oh no, you don't," Leo cried out, his voice a mix of surprise and determination. He gripped the pole with both hands, muscles tensing, pulling the umbrella down even lower over their heads. The sudden lurch of the umbrella made Evan gasp. He stumbled, losing his footing for a split second, and instinctively grabbed onto Leo's arm to steady himself. This brought their faces incredibly close. Evan's nose almost brushed Leo's cheek, and he could see the tiny droplets of rain still clinging to Leo's eyelashes, now shimmering with a playful light in the golden glow of the umbrella. Leo looked at him, his eyes wide with mock alarm, then burst into a loud, joyful laugh. It was a rich, full sound that cut through the noise of the storm, warm and infectious. Evan, startled by their closeness and the sudden burst of laughter, couldn't help but join in. He let out a bubbly giggle that quickly grew into a full, hearty laugh, the kind that makes your stomach ache. The image of the umbrella fighting against the wind, their comical struggle to hold it, and their unexpected proximity all combined into a wave of pure, silly amusement. "It's really trying to get away now," Evan said between laughs, his voice a little breathless. Leo nodded, still chuckling, his face beaming. "It's got a mind of its own, this one." He gave the umbrella one last firm tug, and it settled back into place, though still shaking slightly from its ordeal. Their laughter slowly died down, leaving them breathless and smiling. They were still standing incredibly close, their faces only inches apart. The storm raged around them, but under their yellow dome the air felt charged, warm with shared laughter and a sudden, undeniable spark. Evan's heart thumped a little faster in his chest, a new, exciting feeling replacing the earlier awkwardness. The intimacy had deepened, and something bolder seemed to be brewing. The last echoes of their laughter faded, but the warmth of it lingered, making the air under the umbrella feel even cozier. Evan's heart was still doing a happy little dance in his chest. He was keenly aware of Leo beside him, the brush of their arms, the shared space, and the easy silence that had fallen between them. The world outside was still a symphony of pouring rain, but their small, yellow-lit world felt utterly peaceful. They walked for another block or so, the rhythm of their steps and the gentle sway of the umbrella a comforting beat. Evan was almost sad that his apartment was getting closer. This unexpected adventure with Leo was far more interesting than his planned, quiet evening. He was just starting to think about how he would say goodbye, and perhaps hint at seeing Leo again at the bookstore when something unexpected happened. Leo suddenly stopped walking. Evan, caught off guard, took another half step before realizing Leo had halted. He nearly bumped into him, stopping just short. The sudden stillness felt loud after their continuous movement. The drumming of the rain seemed to intensify in the quiet moment. Leo turned fully to face Evan. Because they were already so close, this movement brought them face to face, their knees almost touching. The large yellow umbrella, still clutched firmly in Leo's hand, tilted slightly. It dipped down, creating a perfect, private little frame around their faces, shielding them even more from the outside world. Evan looked into Leo's eyes, which were now serious, no longer twinkling with playful amusement. There was a deep, soft look in them that made Evan's breath catch in his throat. The smile had left Leo's lips, replaced by a thoughtful, intense expression. The sound of the rain, the distant city noises, all faded away, leaving only the sound of his own quickening heartbeat. Leo's gaze held his, unwavering. The moment stretched, thick with unspoken feelings. Evan felt a nervous flutter in his stomach, a mix of excitement and wonder. What was Leo thinking? What was he about to say? The air between them hummed with a new kind of energy, bolder and more direct than anything they had shared so far. Evan waited, unable to look away, utterly captivated by the intensity in Leo's eyes. The world outside the yellow umbrella faded into a soft blur. All Evan could focus on was Leo's face, so close to his, and the deep, serious look in Leo's eyes. The air between them felt thick, humming with a new kind of energy that made Evan's heart pound like a drum. He held his breath, waiting, wondering. Leo's gaze dropped from Evan's eyes to his lips for just a second, then returned, even more intense. The sound of the rain, the rumble of distant traffic, everything seemed to dim, leaving only the quiet rush of his own thoughts. This was more than just a shared umbrella. This was something bigger, something real. Then Leo spoke, his voice a soft whisper that barely rose above the drumming of the rain on the umbrella. It was so quiet, so intimate, that Evan had to lean in just a tiny bit more to catch his words. "Evan," Leo began, his voice a gentle rumble, "I know this might sound a little crazy, and we've only just met, really." He paused, taking a shallow breath, his eyes never leaving Evan. A brave, open look shone in them. "But I've seen you in the bookstore a lot. You always pick up the best books, and you have such a kind smile when you talk about them." Evan felt a blush creep up his neck, warmth spreading through him that wasn't from the shared umbrella. He never knew Leo had noticed him so much. Leo continued, his voice growing a little stronger, though still a whisper. "And now, walking with you, sharing this crazy storm, it just feels so right. I've been thinking since I first saw you today, soaking wet and running through the rain, that I really wanted to get to know you better. To see that smile up close, without the rain trying to wash it away." "What?" He leaned in even closer, so close that Evan could feel the warmth of his breath. "Evan," Leo whispered, his gaze firm and full of feeling, "I think you're wonderful." The words hung in the air, unexpected and bold, yet said with such gentle honesty that Evan's stomach flipped. It wasn't a question, but a statement, a clear opening into something new and exciting. A wave of surprise washed over Evan, quickly followed by a rush of deep, warm feeling. He found himself smiling, a real, full smile that reached his eyes. In that moment, surrounded by the pouring rain and the golden light of the umbrella, Evan knew he wanted to explore this unexpected connection.